couple of passages of scripture that you hear us refer to here at Highlands Fellowship very often is the Great Commandment Great Commission. The Great Commandment simply says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And love your neighbor as yourself. And then the Great Commission, Jesus says, go into all the world, baptizing them in the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey all that I have commanded you. That last part of Jesus' command of the Great Commission, he says, teach them to obey all that I've commanded you. That's discipleship, and that's what we want to just talk about for just a moment. What is discipleship? Well, disciple simply means a student. We're becoming a student of Jesus Christ. I've come to realize over the years that discipleship doesn't simply happen in a classroom or through some program. I believe that if it did, rather than inviting the disciples to follow him, Jesus would have said, hey, come sign up for my class, or take this program that I've created, and it's going to help you learn how to pursue the heart of God. That's not what he did, is it? No, he said, just come follow me. He invited them into relationship, and as they shared life together, so that relational environment, that the disciples really learned how to pursue God, how to live as God intends, how to be obedient. You know, a couple of questions I've wrestled with over the years of this is, what does a disciple look like? And can I measure if I'm getting it right? The answer to both of those questions is yes. Yes, we do know what a disciple looks like. And yes, we can measure whether or not we're getting that right. What does a disciple look like? Well, there are 5 behaviors that Jesus Christ embraced. And we see those 5 behaviors through the Great Commandment and Great Commission. The first is that of worship, when he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. The next purpose or behavior that we see there through the Great Commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. That's the purpose of ministry. The behavior of serving others in our sphere of influence. We all get it. We understand that if we simply tell someone we love them, but there's no actions to back it up, it's kind of empty, isn't it? The next 3 behaviors that we see come from the Great Commission. He says, go into all the world. Well, that's the purpose of evangelism. When we live our life each and every day, and as we live as an example for others of what it is to follow after God, we share with others what impact Jesus has made in our own life. Then the next purpose is that of fellowship. He says, baptize them in the name of the Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit. That's welcome people into the family of God. And then the final purpose that we're talking about is that of discipleship. He says, teach them to obey all that I've commanded you. That's why small groups are so critical here at Highlands Fellowship, is because it's a relational environment where people can come together to build friendships with one another, to build trust, so that we can help each other learn what it is to follow after Christ, to be obedient to his teachings. You know, we don't believe that this should be kind of vague, because we believe that we can know what a disciple looks like, and we can gauge how well we're doing at that. Well, we've created a tool for you. This tool is simply called a spiritual health assessment and planner. The assessment is kind of just a series of questions around these 5 behaviors. As you ask these questions of yourself, I believe the Holy Spirit's going to give you a snapshot of how well you're living out each of these purposes in your life. As you get that snapshot, I believe he's going to raise this awareness in you that here's an area I want you to grow in. We believe you can measure how well you're doing through the assessment, but then you need to have a plan. How are we going to live this out? Well, the planner helps give you that plan. It's going to kind of give you some step-by-step actions that you can put into place to help you develop in each of those areas. You know, I typically will do this planner once a year because I believe that we are to be lifelong learners. And it just really does help us continue to learn how to be obedient to Jesus Christ. If you don't yet have your assessment and planner, hey, get with us. We'd love to get this in your hand. Stop by the Next Steps area. Get with your campus pastor. We have these available for you because we want to help you to know what a disciple looks like, but understand this pathway of how we're all to grow so that we can be fully obedient to what Jesus has taught us to do. And thanks again for creating space so that others can come together to know and love Jesus just a little bit more.